today we're talking to you about how to grease up your excavator. First step is, what will you require to grease up your excavator? We've got here a manual grease gun. You can also get battery operated ones, but we're using a simple manual one here. And this one's got a fixed nozzle on the grease gun. Sometimes it is useful to also use a flexible nozzle. Just gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're actually trying to get to the grease points. And we're just using some general purpose grease for this purpose. Now there are a couple of different types of grease you can use. General purpose grease or lithium EP2 is a kind of common one that's very often used. If you want something that's slightly higher grade, you can use a lithium complex grease that has a slightly higher melting point and thereby lasts longer on the machine. So it is recommended. And if you really want to take it up a notch, there is a type of grease called pin and bush grease, and that's graphite enriched. And what that means is that even when the grease leaches out from the joints, you're left with the graphite in the joint, which is a dry lubricant, so it does really extend the life of your machine. But for the purpose today, we're just using general purpose grease. So we would start typically down the dipper end of the excavator, and what you're looking for is a greasing point. So you'll typically have one where there's a pin or a bush, i.e. where the bucket pins go through, the link pins, and on the ram. So at each point you'll have a grease nipple like shown here, and what you do is you just put your grease gun onto the grease nipple and then pump that a few times until you just start to see the grease coming out the joint, and then that's enough grease. So it is really important that you do this at the start of each shift to really maximise the lifetime of your pins and bushes, otherwise you will be wearing them out. So as you go through the machine, you've got your bucket pins, your link pins, your ram eye, and then the other end of the ram. So on this pin, sometimes it's greased through the centre of the pin, and other times it will be greased from the actual ram itself. And then you've got your boom to dipper joint, and again you may have a point in the end of the pin, and then also sometimes you'll have another one in the actual arm, and then you've got your top of the dipper eye, and then to the other end of this ram, and then all the way down to your king post. Now the king post is a really important area of the machine because it's taking the full strain of all the work you're doing, so it's really, really important that you check that regularly and make sure that's greased up at very regular intervals. The other one that you want to check relates to the grading blade. So at each end of the grading blade you will have a pin connecting each end of the ram, so it's important that they're kept greased up. And then you have what's called the slew ring, which is the main drive underneath the excavator, which is really important that that is also kept very well greased. Now on very small machines, typically you'll just access that directly through the track frame and grease it up that way. On larger machines you will have, like we've got here, two greasing points just by the cab, which allows easy access to that. And again, that's one that should be greased at very regular intervals because that's a very expensive component to change to make sure that that is kept in very good condition. So there you have it, they're the main greasing points throughout your excavator. So for more tips and tricks on how to look after your excavator, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and please subscribe here.